Hello my friends, this is Diane. If you like vintage children's books, and especially their illustrations, you will like these two journals that I'm about to share with you. These journals excuse me, are not made for children to use, but they are made out of children's book covers, and they are filled with illustrations from various children's books. And like I said, I have two of them. I think there's so much detail in them, I think it'll take me 2 videos to show them both, but we'll see. If I can get them in one, I will. So let's just start with this one. They're both made from, oh, I didn't look at the dates, but I believe they're from the 30s or 40s, these books. And they're from Alice and Jerry books that I got at a flea market. I have 3 signatures in them, but they became so fat that I ended up making 2.5-inch signatures on these, and I normally do a 1.5-inch signature. On this one, I Mod Podged these little decorative strips on. The covers, they're old books, so their covers had stains on them, and I covered up some of the words and just left Day In and Day Out because I thought that was a good title for a journal. And to remind us to celebrate the everyday, I put this little metal piece on that says celebrate. And then there was staining a little bit here, so I covered that with this strip of paper. And on the binding is a piece of Stampin' Up! Paper with colorful rulers on it. And on the back, to cover up some of the staining, I glued on this vintage time card that I found at a flea market and a little strip of paper. And then I put this uniquely handmade limited edition stamp on. And on the spine to decorate it is just a piece of seam binding and a felt flower. It has a hitch post, hitch fastener, and a hair tie to close it. The end papers are covered with pages from the books that I had cut up. And then I used my stamp, This Book Belongs To, and Rick Rack. Now the spine, like I said, is 2.5 inches, so there's space in between the signatures, but they're very fat. There's a lot of things sewn and glued in, and you will be adding things to it, so that's why I made the spine so thick. Okay, the first signature has this pocket on the front, and this is from a children's book. All the illustrations are from children's books. And inside this pocket is a oh, I'm sorry, a tag I made with a graph index card. And this is a little piece of Stampin' Up! Paper from this same line as this. And it's a little pocket, and then there's just a couple of little tags in here. It slips back in there. There's a doily here and a little bunny illustration. There's an illustration as a pocket with some ball fringe, and then this is a scrap of the scrapbook paper, and I just glued on a couple of little blocks from one of the school books that I used. There's lots of room for journaling. This is a page from a children's almanac. So there are several pages and illustrations. That's what this is from too. This is a spring morning. And this is a Sunday. I don't know if it was maybe spring for Easter or what, but it's people going to church. And there's a little sticky note here that Una sent me from Ireland when we did a swap. So that's in there, and a little piece of fabric and some seam binding here to decorate. And this is an Uno scorecard. I picked that up at a flea market. This is ledger paper, and then I have a vintage children's dictionary. I thought if I had it handy I'd show it to you, but there's quite a few things out of that book in these 2 books. So, do you want a book? Would you like to have a book? I thought that was perfect for a journal. I did cut out just some miscellaneous phrases from the stories in these 2 books that I cut up, and just glued them on because I thought they were fun. It says, "This is just what I wanted," because it goes along with this definition for want. And here we go. Another book page here. There's an apple here and a vintage, well, it's not very vintage. I think it's from the 80s phone message. There's some washi tape here. And a little bit of sticky notes shaped like puzzles there. A little piece of ledger so that I wanted to leave the illustration, but give you a space to write on also. And then here's a phrase from the book. "Oh, look, look," she said. And this is a tag and a little illustration from the book with a little piece of fabric stitched on. And this is a pocket, so there are two little skinny tags in there. This is a flap, so you can lift it up and write on the whole page. I love that picture. Some of these illustrations are just gorgeous. And there's a little bunny. You can see some doilies on some of the coffee stained paper. And here's a piece of scrapbook paper and a little piece of ruffled trim and a book page shape and a little kitten. This is cut from a book, stitched on coffee dyed paper, and then this is from the dictionary, Learn. And I included my last 3 little ducky envelopes that I had gotten at a flea market or an antique store or something. So there's one of those in each of the centers, and then inside each one is just a page from one of the books. You can do what you like with those pages, and you can include your own items inside the envelope. On the back of the envelope is a piece of printed vellum. I don't know if you can see, it's got polka dots on it, and a coffee dyed index card that's a grid graph, and illustration from the book, and some seam binding. That vellum came from this 6x6 pad from Stampin' Up. It's got various designs in it. I've had it for quite some time and I always forget about it. So I did use some of that in this book, as you can see. And then I made this little embellishment with some punches and cut some banners with the book pages. This is a book illustration, and this is cut from Graphic 45 paper. And these fibers that you see throughout this book, I'm going to, eventually when I get time, I'm going to list a card of various colors in my shop, if you like those. This is a pocket. It's just the paper folded over to make a pocket. It's got some fabric stitched to the edge. And here's another quote: "But after you do the same things again and again, you wish that something new would happen." And this is from a vintage little Hallmark date book, 1971. And just a little tag. This is a little sack with some of the fabric and a little illustration from a book. Again, the illustrated paper with some post-it notes. A little fabric collage. And this can be written on. It's solid there, so you can write on that. There's a little ducky glued there. Another piece of vellum. This is clear vellum. It doesn't have a print on it. This is a stamp that I have. Oh, there's a quote: "Come on, run like everything." A book page, see, was a camel. And this is a free printable that I've had. I got it off the internet somewhere. Stitched to coffee dyed paper. The second signature has a cardinal there. And a summer noon. And here's another one of the tags. B is for boat. Yes, that goes down in there, but I'll fuss with it later. A Kate Greenaway illustration, and another page from the Hallmark date book. Another Kate Greenaway, Mistress Mary, with some fringe, and another scrap. Another page from the almanac. This is George Washington, so I used this cherry print fabric on the edge. Little fox post-it. A Clue, vintage Clue score sheet. And a house from the dictionary. And here it says, "They have come to take us home." So I tried to match the definition to whatever quote I had. Again, an illustration with a little piece of fabric, and it says, "Here is something you like." A couple of little tags in there. Flap. Clothes. We wear clothes. This is clothing, and I think this little boy is zipping up his outfit or something. That's why I use the quote about clothes. This is from an A.A. Milne book, Now We Are Six, or something like that. One of those books. There's a little puppy there. Another ducky envelope with a page out of the book. I'm sorry, I've got a tickle in my throat. This one is some plant life on that printed vellum, some children glued on, and some seam binding. A little rabbit and hollyhocks illustration. I love the colors of that. Another embellishment that I made. And a stamped tag. This one just has fabric and a little trim. Another sack with a stamped tag. Little fabric collage there with some trim. This one has a little piece of green vellum on it. Guest check. I like that illustration from the book. From a book. "We have worked a long time. The sun is going down. It will soon be night." Now these quotes didn't go with the illustrations. I just kind of tried to match them up a little bit. It was just for fun. And the third signature, I've got to hurry here, is a fall afternoon. C is for crying. And a little puppy there. This opens up for journaling. Another page from the almanac. Some more fabric and seam binding. I have had the best day, so I took the definition for best. This is a good apple, this is a better apple, this is the best apple. Some more of that puzzle sticky notes, and some washi tape up here. Flap, a cute little puppy there. Some paper here folded up, and then this is stitched on. This paper is stitched on as a little trim. These books have a lot of detail in them. They took me a long time to make. I wish you could talk to me. Looks like the little boy saying that to the puppy, although I believe it was from a story about a little girl talking to her dolly. There's a page in there. Look at that pretty illustration. And Beatrix Potter there on this printed vellum. Another embellishment. Couple of tags. "We will look and look until we find something we never expected to find. Then that will be a discovery." And there's some coffee dyed vellum stitched, or not vellum, muslin. And a little sack that I made with my jelly bean soup dye. A little fabric, a little cow illustration. Some fabric here. Alice in Wonderland. There's some vellum here with two tags. This is kind of a pale yellow. Another page from the Hallmark date book, and then A Winter's Night. And D is for duck. And then I took an old library card, or library pocket, and put some illustrations on it and scrapbook paper. There's my signature tucked behind the library card. Oops, I'll put that back in. So there's one, and I will be back with another video of the second book.